could have turned it over.
Huh?
The video, I could turn it a little bit this way.
Okay, I'll turn it in a minute. Let me look.
No, I think it's cool.
Actually, it's picking up the side.
Oh, yeah, that's better. That's way better. Oh, man, there's 26 people in here. Hey, what's up, Josie? What's up, Eddie? Oh, I gotta push music. Man, getting in here a little early, y'all. Trying to get things situated, a little more organized. Man, Eddie, it be like some good news. And I'm gonna tell y'all, please. I get excited when I do this. I have fun when I do this. If you leave me a message saying that my voice sounds like nails on a chalkboard, I'm probably not the guy to listen to because put a lot of passion into it, put a lot of effort into these reports, and it's nothing more than simply just asking a question afterwards, saying, hey, what did you mean by that? Let's elaborate. But I don't care about your opinion on that. Like, I do this for the people that want it. You know what I mean? First of all, I want to say welcome back. I want to tell everybody, please, go out there, like the video, A, B, subscribe to the channel, and then C, hit that notification bell to be alerted to everything that's going on with the channel and how things are going. Of course, we're in sponsorship of the Noble Institution. April will post a link at the bottom. Join the Noble Institution for all your crypto, stock, up-to-date news. Man, there's some major craziness going on in the digital space. I think everybody should have an opportunity to get in on it on the dip, ride it to the moon, diamond hands. If you know what that means and you're in Wall Street bets like I am, we're going to give them about 3 more minutes. Hey, Shanta, you made it. Lloyd, hey, what's up, Lloyd Lacey? What's up, Margarita? I know someone trying to stop vaping. I'm going to try. We got Shanta in the house. Robert, yep, 37. We may not even get to 100 in here today. That's okay. That's okay if we don't. 7 o'clock, we're going to get this party started. I got a lot of news. I got a lot of things. There's a lot going on in Iraq. And you actually, sometimes getting the latest news is good because it alerts you of the news that they told you what they were going to do before. And then now you have a way of verifying it to understand where the investment's going. So when I see stuff like, oh, nothing's happening. Oh my gosh, there's plenty happening. You just have to go back and do a little bit of memory recall and say, dude, they are doing what they said they're going to do. This is a great time to be back. Man, y'all have to excuse my sinuses this evening. They are going nuts. They have been going crazy since about 2 p.m. It happens. Let's get to, where are my notes here? Man, did you guys see where HEB in Texas is going to start letting you settle your remnants in digital currency? Everybody here in Texas, if you want to use your digital currency, especially Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, you'll be able to pay for your groceries in cryptocurrency at select stores coming soon.
At HEB?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. HEB's on the rise.
HEB?
Yeah, HEB's crazy. Bahamas in the house. Yeah, Maxine Jacour. Yeah, good to have you back in the loop too. Robert, good to see you. Patience is a virtue. Yeah, patience is definitely a virtue. We got 1 minute. Shanta, we're not going to hit 100, but we're going to do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Sammy. Nicole, what's going on? Fam, birthday girl. Shout out to Nicole. Had a birthday recently. Amandi Azar. I'm Mr. Brando. Hey, how you doing, Amandi? Heavy metal chef, best chef on the internet, YouTube space, hand down. Margarita, good to see you, my friend. Nicole, Oh, it's gang all day with me. Jay Lee, hey, how's it going? Gang to you. Shanta, yeah, I'm in it as long as I'm good. You always gonna be good. John, okay, it's 7 o'clock. Let's do this news because this stuff is really, really popping. Okay, first of all, I think last week was the week that I touched upon that Iraq, for the very first time, issued a progress report that Kazemi came in and said, hey, look, we're going to do this report. It's going to open up all the transparency about where we're at, good or bad, happy or sad, and we're going to let everybody know where we're at. And I'm going to give you the highlights out of that, and then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to give you what that has to do with the white paper, and then show you how, where I talked about last week with forex, how that ties into the white paper. And so you're going to have some really good takeaways, I believe, okay? Man, it's gang ET. So the Iraqi government issued a report, and it came out recently. It was from May 20th to 21st. According to the annual government performance report, Iraqi government headed by Kadhimi, it included information about being transparent, clear, and objective. Now, if you remember early on, I always said that for Iraq to be open to international business, they had to do something to open up their books. Sorry, y'all, that's my allergies. Open up their books and to give all transparencies in the in the realm of banking, infrastructure, healthcare, everything. That's what every country does. Even the United States. We write a report, we put our GDP in there, we do everything, we say what's going on with our lives, how things are working, and what's going on. Iraq did it for the first time this year. It includes the government's achievements during the whole year. Government performance report touched on the government's achievements in several areas, most notably settling on an economic reform plan, which was the white paper, and I'll tie that back in, preparing for all requirements for elections, achieving success in the oil, agriculture, communications, water resource sectors, in addition to activating the anti-corruption file and arresting dozens and dozens of senior officials. The report pointed to other achievements, including the government's success in calming the situation in the region, keeping regional and international conflicts away from it, advancing balance in domestic policy. If you guys didn't see today, they're trying to revoke the law here in the States that no president can go back into Iraq and execute military action. It's a winless war, and so I think a lot of people got to really dig and understand the fact that we don't want to be in winless wars. Wars are expensive. Wars create dozens and dozens of casualties, and this is our best resource as a nation, which is the human resource, and I just believe senseless wars are unnecessary. The report pointed to the achievements. It's in situations in the region, keeping the region of international conflicts away, balanced domestic policies, and effective balanced relations with all neighboring countries and various regional and international powers. So if you guys were watching the news this week, you saw that Iraq had to sit down with Kuwait. They owe Kuwait approximately $1.7 billion. We know that the high price of oil has already hit in excess of $74. I said this in quiet circles before. I would not be surprised if oil hit $100 a barrel. Honestly, I would not. So if you're looking at an option call, grab grab WTI, set it for the longest measurement out, and ride that wave to about $3-4 and cash out. Have yourself a nice payday come the end of this year. The economist named Aliyah Afandi confirmed on Tuesday that reforming the wheel of the Iraqi economy and returning it to the normal state, it requires a lot of risk, but it also requires a lot of support. In the statement, information agency that it is not easy for the exchange rate to regain their normal position anymore. However, I disagree with that, and I'm going to tell you why in a few minutes. But there are bold steps that need a bold personality to take and implement with the support of the political forces, i.e. watch for October. You're going to have new breath, new life inside of Parliament that don't play with the old rules, and they don't know that they can't change their currency. There's no law that says they cannot. They just need to work together and use it instead of a MCP. It's dumb to flood the country with dollars. Who would do that? Why would you flood a country with dollars when we want every single person inside of that country and us as being stakeholders to use it in our in-country to where it can hold a nominal value? Flooding it with dollars is a dumb idea. He noted that other personalities is the Minister of Finance. A lot of people consider Alawi to be one of the weakest personalities in Parliament. I disagree. He came out with a structured, informed plan, and he also set metrics to meet those plans and I'll tell you about those in a few minutes. He pointed out that these steps need popular and political support. Well, duh! You see them now crying and complaining every day. Why isn't the exchange rate where it was? Where's the exchange rate? We need the exchange rate where it was at least. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. But without popular support of the politicians to put pressure on the CBI, it doesn't become popular. And it dies by the wayside because the CBI's only interest, it seems right now, I think he's a blundering idiot, seems to be flooding the place with dollars and selling off the currency auction, which only supports corruption and only supports what we are absolutely against as speculative holders, and that's the increase in value and the elimination of the MCP state. And for those that are new out there, MCP stands for multiple currency practice. Big detriment to your currency having value. If you got people in the marketplace trading in different currencies, it does not help your situation. Now, the Parliamentary Finance Committee on Wednesday called the Council of Ministers to adhere to the literal provisions of the federal budget law for the year 2020. Can I say this again? The Parliamentary Finance Committee on Wednesday called for the Council of Ministers to adhere to the literal provisions of the federal budget law of 2021. What's inside of the literal provisions of the general budget law is the white paper. What are the white papers? The white papers lead absolutely to the reforms. Without the budget, you don't have the white paper. Without the budget, you don't have reforms. And without reforms, we will not realize our dream. I think that this is massive news for them to say it. Now, the budget law has drawn clear mechanisms that are not subject to interpretation or courtesy to deal with any issue. Meaning that you can't go into this and say, well, it's the budget law. Well, we'll pay this, but we won't want to do that. We're going to do this, but we don't want to do that. That's not how it is. Not up for interpretation. It is only up for execution. That's how you get paid. And I'll show you. I'm going to show you. So the fact is, you have to have enforcement and you have to have laws to enforce. And with that, inside of the budget, economic reforms lie inside of those white papers. Now it's time for the Kurds to stand up, produce their oil for SOMO, and have real intentions of joining the budget and quit going against the Iraqi reforms. Now, expert Kanini confirmed on Thursday the government no longer has a justification or pretext to continue raising the dollar exchange in the local markets as the price of a barrel of oil is now exceeding $74. There's no excuse why you have such a big value in dollar and such a low dollar in dinar, unless you're flooding the marketplace with dollar, which is dumb. Get the dollar out of the marketplace, make them deal in local currency. I'm going to take a second to read this. You guys are just chit-chatting. Okay. Now, the information that Parliament must say is word to oblige the Ministry of Finance and the Prime Minister to take the decision to reduce the exchange rate of the dollar in the local market. The exchange rate has already exceeded $100 equals $150,000 dinar. At the same time, when the price of the barrel of oil reached $74, more than the price set in the budget at $30. So they set the budget at actually $45. Oil is now exceeding $74. Even though you have those funds, there is no reason to have this much inflationary measures happening inside of Iraq. Now, the government does not have the justification to continue with the current approach that imposed a siege on the people. Remember, when they talk about the people, they're talking about the citizens. How does it affect the everyday citizen as far as marketplace shopping, housing, whatever? We'll talk about that more in just a couple seconds with this white paper. However, the barrel of oil in the budget should be adjusted and made at the barrier of $60. Why? Because they truly believe, just like I truly believe, that oil is going to hit in excess of $100 a barrel. If them at 45 seems like, well, you have all this money, what are you doing with it? It's supposed to go into the two funds. The two funds, one being 90% going towards the paying remnants on stuff, bills, loans, stuff like that. 10% for the people. Remember, that's how they're going to establish the Article 140 as well as pay for the remnants to Kuwait. Easily put. Now, he also added the government will lack nothing to this achievement. being that you have all the tools in your face, they're all at hand. Now it's time for execution. There's no excuse. Now, let me show you where this gets a little hairy. He added, though, that at the G7 summit, there was an agreement on clean energy. So among the agreements in that, by 2030, no company or car manufacturer will produce fossil fuels. So here's the deal, kids. If you don't hurry up and change the value of your currency now, not only in 30 years will you be obsolete, you'll be holding the only one commodity that in the world nobody wants. Because if the world actually goes fossil fuel free, places like Kuwait, Iraq, Iran, even us in Alaska, our pipelines are going to have a true deficit as opposed to commodity in earning towards their GDP. And don't forget in Iraq, that's 90% of their budget comes from oil. Can you not talk about immense pressure? I know we see that like, oh, well, that's 9 years away. Could you imagine having to totally reestablish your economy based on something else and not oil, which you've lived on for your whole life? That's immense pressure. Therefore, the International Fund and the World Bank urge all countries to move towards clean energy. And he indicated that Iraq suffers from problems. First is that the dilapidated, financial and political administration. So, what are they saying? Again, all eyes point back to October 7th through the 10th when they get new blood in Parliament with a new speaker, a new president that will represent the people and not represent a bunch of old men or old women that are not actually a fair, now this goes to the U.S. too, a fair representation of their populace. Their populace is mostly under 30. There's no way that you should have a bunch of old Iraqi men controlling the wealth and controlling the way things go. The only reason why they are is because they have been thieves. Now that thievery is going to come to a halt in a few months. That's why you're seeing all these pushes and pressures from all around the world. What are you going to do with oil if oil is obsolete? Now you can do with it. It's going to take a young person with a fresh mind to come in there and say, look, we're going to establish windmills in the desert. We're going to put solar in the desert. They've already made a deal to open up 8 nuclear reactors inside of Iraq to compensate. If they did that and used the desert as a sheer solar panel field, the harvesting of that energy would be immense. Just takes money and effort. And the 9 years you got left, trust me, if ain't nobody buying oil for cars, you don't want to be left behind in all this. Halting fossil fuel financing is another major step towards limiting global warming. They want it reduced to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, at a level that scientists say will enable the world to avoid the most devastating effects of climate change. I know a lot of people in here don't like climate change, they don't want to talk about it, but when you have record 100+ days in Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, it is all affected by our climate. That's why with us at Noble, we're investing in something called Verde Energy. We're going to lower greenhouse emissions. If we just get 20% of the cattle farmers just to go along with what we want to do, then guess what? It will lower emissions by 50% in this country in 6 years. So if you know anybody that's a major cattle rancher out there that wants to take the remnants of poop and turn it into methane, let me know. I definitely want to hook up with them because there's a tremendous opportunity to make money with this and then also fuel our electrical grid and not have to worry about outside political involvement. Now, I want to go over real quick the report from Parliament. Reconciliations in the payment system will enhance economic development through the effectiveness of financial transactions between all parties, empower banking institutions and companies, improve the management of cash flow for every business sector, and increase in transparency. That's what this report is about. We always talk about when Iraq is totally transparent with their books, they'll be ready and poised to change their currency. I believe that time is now. Now, this is something that I've always seen to be a great debate amongst, Dinarians about the Arab regional payment, joining the Arab regional payment system, signing to the agreement that requires to participate in the platform Benny for inter-Arab payments. The platform provides clearing and settlement service for remnants. So when you see articles out there that deal with Kuwait, because Kuwait's also part of Benny, don't think that it's the thing for them going international. They could be making arrangements to pay the currency off faster, or they could be letting them know that, hey, there's going to be a change in value very soon, and the reason for it is we're going to pay you off, and we'll be a viable partner in the region. Transparency to ensure the continued transparency, dissemination of data. Remember, nobody wants bad data. Political disinformation is a killer for citizens. They hate that. We hate it here. Everybody hates misinformation. So to have a clear and transparent way of doing it, especially on the data of oil and gas sector and the preparation of transferring at a high level. Why does it have to be at a high level? Because if you enact Article 140, it's only fair that the citizens know that this much went out, this is what's owed to us, and that's only fair. Develop and improve the system of transparency of electronic finance statements on official website of the Federal Ministry of Finance. That's good. Now, I put a star by this one. Iraq government adopted 183 of the white paper and adopted Resolution 183, 2020 on the application of the Ascenda system in negotiating contract to implement the automated system, seeking to create real partnerships between the Iraqi private sector and the sector of other countries and enter into a venture that invests in agriculture, industry, tourism sectors, support the development of Iraqi economy, create jobs for Iraqi, continue the process of joining the World Trade Center, continue the practice to ascend into the World Trade Center. Now, because if they're not going to have fossil fuels to fall back on, Iraq is already one of the world's best producers of dates. Iraq has already got a strong agricultural background that can be used as exports, have fair trade partnerships, and because the Bene system, they can have a way of settling remittance and not worry about a bunch of stuff on the back end because it will be in what? Dinar, not dollar. Do you see what I'm saying? It's kind of like anything. If you have a cryptocurrency out there and you want to grow, the best thing you can do if you got a great market cap, get people to use your coin, get them to buy it, get them to use it. That's what they're saying right here. With them being on that firm, on that platform, regionally, you don't have to be international. You just got to be a player regionally. And once you're a player regionally, guess what? Now it makes it so much easier to branch out with logistics and make things happen that you might not have been able to do before. Because now you are plugged in to all the region. Seeking to create real partnerships. We read that. Now, the key reforms, the white paper key reforms. I'm going to read these to you. I don't know if anybody's ever read these to you, but the key reforms on the top of the white paper are this. Reducing the deficit from 20 to 3% GDP and expenditure of salaries from 25% to 12% of the federal budget. Collecting electricity tariffs from all user based on the real price of fuel on global markets. Now, I would also put a slash by that and put making all Iraqis fund their cell phone bills back to a government agency that helps fund private sector communications departments that will subsidize the cost of oil. Now, recovering and returning Iraq's smuggled and stolen money, that'd be great, but if it's smuggled and stolen, let's not cry over spilled milk. Recovering and returning, increasing revenues from custom and tariffs. You have to have a strong border and control that border with custom and tariffs as far as logistics go from transporting stuff, because let's face it, not everything can go by air. A lot of it can go by truck or by sea to the different region, and they need to have a tight grip on what's going in and what's going out and keeping the custom tariffs because that's going to add to the budgetary costs later on. Reforming Iraq's pension fund. I've said this a lot of times on here. Pensions are the killer of a country. Pensions are truly the killer of a country because it's kind of like our Social Security. If you stop having it, then a lot of people that need it don't have it, but it needs to be monitored and regulated and stringently watched so that when you do talk about pensions, that you know that the people that maybe put in the beginning may not be a few generations down where they're not able to take advantage of it in the end. Reforming the financial management system. Last but not least, reviving the current exchange rate against the dollar to dinar. Boom. That is on their key of their list. Reviving the current exchange rate of the dollar against the dinar. They want the dollar to go down. They want the dinar to go up. Eliminate currency auctions. And I'm going to show you how. Modernizing and rehabilitating the financial sector. We talked about that. They need to have a better banking system. But they keep getting awards for banking, so it's so confusing. Modernizing and rehabilitating the banking system, supporting the development of private banks. Iraq just announced the other day a third bank that's going to come out to help out with state stuff. Reforming government banks, introducing and activating the core banking system in Al Rafidin and Rashid banks. Expediting the development of e-banking services. You see that a lot mentioned in the report because in the report they talk a lot about them having e-cards, not using cash, settling their the marketplace purchases with their cards, not having to carry around buckets of cash, which A, are dangerous, and B, what it does is it doesn't truly let you have full advantage of being a cashless society. Being cashless ain't a bad deal. Establishing new trading markets such as the commodity market and currency exchange market. And they put in parentheses forex. Now remember last week I told you that now the citizens can take advantage of forex. This is not them saying that the citizens can do it. They're saying that supporting establishing new trade markets such as a commodity market and a current exchange market, forex. Boom. Once you are on forex, guess what, kids? I don't care what the value of it is. Now you are international. So their whole plan in their budget for them to be international. I can't say this enough. Introducing private sector funds, simplifying procedures, and providing for other non-financials, creating jobs in the private sector, supporting small and medium enterprises, adopting national strategy for education and training that links education outcomes with the future needs of the labor market. Now, the white paper for economic reforms enjoys the support of the international community. Iraq already went to the international community and said, hey, look, this is what we want to do. As reflected by the establishment of the Iraq Economic Contract Group, IECG, whose mission is to provide support needed for the economic reform process within Iraq, within the framework of the white paper, which is inside of the budget. And guess what? The IECG, in addition with Iraq, the G7, we just had that conference. You don't think they talked about Iraq in G7? I bet you they did. Because they talked about fossil fuels. Think about this, kids. This all works together. Now, group of industrialized countries such as the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and the European Union. Boom. That's it. That's why you should be ultimately excited, because this is thought through and it is planned. And just because we don't read it in an article every day doesn't mean they're not striving towards a common goal that we all want to see, which is what? The dollar to go down or completely go away, and the dinar to go up. We're holding up our diamond hands, and you know why? We're going to hodl till we drop. Because I'm telling you, it can go nowhere but up, especially if they hit forex. Now, forex also gives you the inclination that they're going to do what with the currency. If someone could guess this, I'm going to throw this out there. Can someone please tell me, if they're on the forex market with their currency, what their major plan is doing, what they're trying to accomplish? I said this a couple times. I don't know if anybody got it. I'm going to look in the comments. Come on, guys. If you're on the forex trading commodity, what do you think that currency is going to do? It's going to float. It's going to have an ebb and flow on the forex chart. It's going to have rises. It's going to have gains. They already put out an article this week saying that they want to peg the dollar to something else, unpeg the dinar, and float the dollar. Right, because of what? No flooded marketplace of dollars. Guess what? You got to use dinar. It's called supply times demand times velocity. And that's how you get to the bank, and that's how you're going to get paid. Now, by my recognition, I only got a couple minutes left here. Does anybody have a question? And please, guys, if you like this information, please like it. Please share it. Please hit the notification bell. Please subscribe. I want to give you a fact-based analysis weekly of where you are with Iraq. Give touches of how that works in geopolitically in the United States, as well as give you some real idea of what's going on and not some backwards thought process of someone that doesn't really think about this, that doesn't live it, okay? Sammy D, I'm not disagreeing with you. How long do you think the process could take? I mean, they're already in the process. So how long till we actually feel the process hit us? I'm not 100% sure, but I'm banking by this year. Hey, Anthony, what up? Hey, thank you, Margarita Man. I'll tell April too. Daisy says thank you too. Oh, there she goes. Get down. That's supposed to be in my video. Crazy mutt. This is my old lady. Hey, forex can only come if they pay off Kuwait. We know they've got the plan to pay off Kuwait because it's in the budget. So, this is trust me, it's everything that goes to Kuwait is a percentage of what you sell. That's why high oil prices are a good thing. High oil prices mean a bigger percentage goes to the payment. 1.7 billion was the last quarter. This quarter, if it, let's say another 500 million or 700 million because of the high prices, they owe $1 billion. That takes us to winter. And if they use any of that money in any of those two budgets, absolutely it can be paid off this year. That's not far-fetched and that's not hard to think about. And of course, with them having them on, international status, the currency goes live on the Iraqi dinar. Banks start trading it. Again, supply times velocity. You don't think banks are speculating against all the hard currency owners in the world against the dinar to go up? They're not going to short it. They're going to go long on it. Those are all calls, no puts. If you speak options, you know what I'm talking about. Kurds will only get their money once they turn the oil over to Somo. Don't get it twisted. They're not getting their money unless they pay the oil. It's called pay for play. Kurds can bitch all they want. They're going to starve themselves. You and I both. Even if it was paid first quarter of next year, I can wait a few months to be a multi-millionaire. I'm just being honest with you. I've waited this long. We've never been closer. And I'm not saying that the propinquity of next week, the week after. I'm not one of those people. I'm saying that because of the sequence of events and things that I've just talked to you guys about in the news and in what they're saying and writing and publishing to the G7. I mean, if you're giving this to the G7, you're pretty serious about it. Those are the 7 strongest economies in the world. That's why you don't see like China or Russia on there because they're not. China doesn't have the same financial structure as France or Russia. That's why they don't sit at the table with the big boys or the big girls. Nah, you don't need small notes and coins to come out. No, you don't. Not at all. Why? Think about this. Think about it from a relative standpoint. Let's just say they don't come out. What does it hurt? They've survived this long without it. They'll come out when the time's appropriate for the marketplace. Small notes and coins are only appropriate for market. Those are hand-to-hand transactions. If you're trying to be cashless anyway, who cares about small notes and coins? Makes no sense. If I'm using my debit card, do I care if there's a $5 note? I got $5 on my new debit card I can spend. See my point? And that's not a bad question either. How do we invest in Iraq on forex? You can't until they actually go international. Until then, the next best thing is to invest in my LISX group and invest in their stock exchange. Their stock exchange is going to pay you $1 million for the rest of your life when you'll only exchange your currency one time. People that are in the stock exchange are going to get dividends for the rest of their life. I told someone earlier today, and I'm going to stop after this. If I could take all the thousands of dollars that I invested in the Iraqi dinar years ago, if I would have known what I know right now, I would have said, you know what? I'm not going to put a penny into the physical currency. I'm going to put it all in their stock exchange. And if I would have put all that in there with what we have in there now, it wouldn't be earning tons of money, like livable money, but I'd be using that money for reinvestment, and I would make sure that my folks get paid for the rest of their lives. Join the Noble Institution. If you like stocks, you like options, you like stuff that makes you money, join. I know sometimes things don't work out perfectly with trading and people are going to bitch and complain, but you know what? I'm willing to stand up and do it. I'll take a chance. I just don't want to take a chance at losing your money. And last but not least, I'm going to say again, please like the video, subscribe to the videos, to the channel, hit the like button, and make sure you hit the bell. You got to hit that bell. When you hit that bell, it notifies you every time we go live. Oh, I need a million more blocks. I need as many blocks as I can get. And thank you, Regina. Any talk on Iran? You know, there is some talk of Iran. I'll tell you something funny. I look at the WTO Ascension list all the time, and do you know Iran's on the list? Now, they haven't talked to them, but Iran's on the list, and I wonder why just all of a sudden they made it. As far as their currency is concerned, I don't talk about currencies that have sanctions against it that can get you in trouble. So, no, I have no physical opinion about them. I just know that they were on the WTO list to join the WTO. All right, y'all. It's been an awesome night. Oh, Daisy knows it's time to go. We're going to call it quits. I'll see you next Thursday with the news. I hope you have a fabulous weekend. It's Juneteenth for everybody out there that didn't know it. And I believe, is it Father's Day? Hey, babe, is this Father's Day weekend? Father's Day weekend and newly elected Juneteenth. So I hope you have a fabulous weekend. And I'll see you guys next Thursday. Let's make some money on the client side. And I love you. Have an awesome night. Daisy, stop saying that.